This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everybody. This is Praveena Kotakota. On behalf of India School News, I like to welcome you all to this online meeting. The duration of our online meeting is normally about 30 to 40 minutes. You can give a brief introduction and then we can have a round of questions. If any participants join our meeting, they can also join the discussion. And you can start your talk now, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Padmini. Good morning, Padmini, and other participants on this platform. I'm thankful to you for inviting me to this talk. It's an honor, and I'm so excited to share my views on the topic chosen for today's discussion. Since you have requested me to give a brief introduction about me, I would like to speak a few words about me. I'm Sajna Hameed. I am a trained, seated, qualified master's degree holder in the pure mathematics. I have been into this profession for more than a decade, to be very precise, almost 13 years now. Before deciding to impart knowledge to the younger generation, I had worked at various national organizations, including NCERT's CIET, Central Institute of Educational Technology. I was working there as associate researcher. We used to get, scripts written by IIT professors, and our main task was to edit if at all, if any incorporation or deletion is required in the script, and we were supposed to make it suitable for the senior secondary classes. That was really, a very interesting task we were given, and I really enjoyed doing that particular job, and it was only for 2 years. Now, moving forward to speak a little bit more about me, I am a writer by passion and, of course, an educator by profession. Recently, I have published a book named An Assortment of Expressions, a short takes on life. I have the habit of, penning down my inner voice, and most of my expressions are basically based on socially relevant topics. Now, that's all from my side. Now, I would like to start my presentation. Before entering into the topic of today's discussion, I would like to start my presentation by talking a few words about teachers. I think, talk of this type, needs a little bit introduction about an educator, especially a teacher, right? These 3 lines which I have shown on my slide reverberates in me whenever I enter into a classroom for teaching physically. Being an educator, I always, love to start a presentation with these beautiful lines. It inspires me a lot and allows to work, relentlessly for my students. It catapults me basically to continue my journey of disseminating knowledge to the younger generation. These lines are really beautiful. I just want you to go through the lines. Students don't need a perfect teacher, but a happy teacher who can make them excited to come to school and who can grow a love for learning, and who notices the kids who don't get noticed. See, whenever we are there in the classroom, we can see most of the students, see, some will be the, yelling and screaming in the class. They will show their excitement immediately, but there will be few students, who don't want to come out of their shell and will be always in a hesitant mode. So my eyes will immediately fall on those type of students, and I will put full effort to bring them bring them back to the mainstream by breaking their shell. We know maybe because of some other reasons, actually students will be apprehensive or hesitant to come out of the shell and behave like other students in the class.
That's a very wonderful thought, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm not able to hear you.
Today, the topic of discussion I have chosen is it clear now?
Yes, yes.
Thank you, ma'am. An integrated method using experiential learning and constructivism approach. So before I enter into the nuances of this particular topic, I would like to speak a few lines about it, just to apprise you regarding what is experiential learning and what is the significance of constructivism, basically, as far as learners, approach towards learning methodology or learning is concerned. So experiential learning basically is the application. It's an application of theory and academic content to real world experiences, right? It focuses on the, learning process for the individual. It provides opportunities for immersive hands-on learning through different types of activities, work experience, projects, and problem solving. Experiential learning, immerses learners in an experience and then encourages a reflection. It actually encourages a reflection about the experience to develop new skills, then new attitudes, or even, newer ways of thinking as far as a student is concerned. In a way, constructivism also helping students, actually learners, to construct knowledge, constructing knowledge on a very firm base. That is what actually we have to understand. In a way, constructivism also speaks the same. It also helps students to construct knowledge rather than, just passively sitting and taking in information. See, Piaget's cognitive constructivism aims to make learners understand concepts in an in-depth manner, and it also provides opportunities for experimentation, like experiential learning, and it also provides a lot of opportunities, for learners for quality interaction as well. So that is the main reason to integrate experiential learning with constructivism. See, its scope is really high, and I'm sure that children will enjoy their learning and they will learn it in a better form. The need to integrate these two methods is mainly because of the nature of its use. As you know, experiential learning and constructivism both encourage learners to discover themselves with their interaction with the environment. And yeah, this is the integration I have shown here, experiential learning with constructivism approach. Okay, the CBSE board, has been in the process of promoting competency-based education and experiential learning instead of content-based education or content-based learning dependent mostly on memorizing facts. The strategy is through pedagogy, obviously, there is no doubt about it, wherein new topics will be integrated and a greater focus would be given on concepts rather than the content. See, I have shown here content-based learning we can prevent and we can promote competency-based learning. Right. So whenever we are there in the classroom physically, we always have to remember a class is always a heterogeneous one. So whatever concept we try to deliver in the class, we as educators, we cannot expect that it is going to reach the audience. Audience are nobody else than our learners. It is going to reach them in one go. As educators, we may have to, adopt different strategies, different modalities. Otherwise, whatever we deliver in the class, the effort we have taken to deliver a particular concept will go in train. So we have to be very, very clear that a class is a heterogeneous one. As students with diverse learning styles, fill the classroom, many teachers in their busy schedule, amidst their busy schedule, may not get time, time to plan innovative methods to suit their learners' distinct aptitudes. So here in this integration, I should say teachers and learners both are active participants. And we can make the teaching learning process a really fun-filled one. I strongly believe the concepts learned, with these strategies, experiential learning and constructivism, will definitely prevent rote memorization and attract all level learners. Why I am saying all level means, I told you class is always a heterogeneous one. So we have to think, accept the fact that the ability or the potential of each learner sitting in the class will vary, and the way they conceive what we say and the way they reproduce, everything will be different. Depends upon their capability, their capacity to reproduce. So the integration of these two powerful tools for pedagogical purposes will definitely be useful for its beneficiaries. Beneficiaries are none other than students, beneficiaries, as it prevents rote memorization. That is what I have shown here. Obviously, this integration, it can prevent rote memorization and it can promote learning based on activities.
I agree with you, ma'am. It's a very good point. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving forward, experiential learning, the word itself is self-explanatory. As I have already mentioned, its significance, the thought processes and critical thinking abilities differ from person to person. But irrespective of one's potential to conceive and reproduce, as I have already mentioned, human learn better through experience. That is, if we do something that will retain in the memory for a longer time. After doing an experiment, see, I have shown the three components here: do, reflect, and modify. After doing an experiment with the assimilated knowledge is nothing but the prior knowledge or the knowledge they have already assimilated through their learning experiences. Students need to reflect on the newly accommodated, because they have done an experiment with the assimilated knowledge, and after doing that, they need to reflect on the newly accommodated knowledge, and hence they modify their misconstrue. Misconstrue in the sense, if at all, if they have any misunderstanding about the concept they have already assimilated, they will do that modification also. So these three components, do, reflect, and modify, play a crucial role in experiential learning. See, we cannot ignore Edgar Dale's, the cone of learning, or learning pyramid. See, this figure, this cone itself is self-explanatory. As far as educators are concerned, we all are familiar with Edgar Dale's cone of learning or learning pyramid. The picture is self-explanatory, as I told you. It depicts, the retaining capacity of our memory to remember facts after a span of 2 weeks, even after a span of 2 weeks, I should say. It shows the factually correct information about experiential learning. As you know, humans tend to remember 90% of our accommodated knowledge if we have learned it through actions or experiences, or as that's some sort of experiments we have done. Physically, in the sense, the learning experience I'm talking about here, if at all any developmental knowledge or developmental exercises they have done, the 90% of that is going to remain in the learner's memory once they do it, when they are saying and they are doing. So definitely it is going to retain in their memory for a longer time. So it's very clearly, the first band you can see here, reading. It's shown here, whatever we read, after a span of 2 weeks, only 10% is going to retain in our memory. So moving forward, watching a movie, looking at an exhibit or a demonstration, or seeing it done in the location and all, 50% of what we see and hear only will remain in our memory after 2 weeks. Now, coming to the last band, if students have done some dramatic presentation, or if they have created some if they have simulated some real life experience, or if you have done some experiments, I have told you developmental exercises and all, they are saying and they are doing. So definitely 90% of that is going to remain in their memory even after 2 weeks. So when we talk about experiential learning, Edgar Dale's cone of learning experience plays a pivotal role. We cannot ignore that. In Western educational institutions, more significance has been given to application than rote memorization. Okay, learners depict metacognitive ability, as I have just shown the picture here, because they are learning something with their own experience. They are learning
Yeah,
on
with
their
action.
own.
With
Yeah,
action,
with
we can see
actions.
some action there.
Basically, yes, ma'am. Yeah. So once they learn it like that, no, definitely it will increase their depth of knowledge. So learners, they depict their metacognitive ability, as it encourages them to understand the best way they can learn. Metacognition is nothing but the ability of each child to understand the best way they can learn. That's it. So during this experiential learning process, metacognition strategies help learners to become more successful learners, since it involves awareness about how they learn and evaluation of their learning needs. Then they reflect on their independent learning, which is very important as far as experiential learning is concerned. The more they learn independently, we can say that the better would be their depth of knowledge. Moving forward, while linking, because the integration is the most significant part here, by linking or integrating 5 E's of constructivism. 5 E's are nothing but engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. With experiential learning, each E here has significant role in experiential learning. See, experiential learning completes only with the successful completion of all these 5 E's. I should say that. As I have already mentioned, cognitive constructivism aims in experimentation and quality interaction. The first 2 E's, that is engage and explore, best connects with the do component of the experiential learning, because experiential learning, 3 important components I have already shown. The first one is do, second one is reflect. After they experiment, actually they will reflect on what they have done. Then if at all any modification is required or the misunderstanding they had already, they will modify the misunderstanding as well. So do, reflect and modify. This engage and explore basically connects with the do component of experiential learning. Here we link experiential learning with do process, engaging students as a starter activity or as an icebreaker, and ask them to explore a knowledge based on the content. So teacher explains and expresses the idea behind the significance of learning by doing. So this engage and explore of the constructivism approach, the do gets linked with, and this explanation part and expressing the idea behind the particular concept or the importance of learning by doing will be for the teachers, right? So to make this process little bit more clearer for all, it is this engage, to make the process clear, it is the most important activity as it requires the involvement of all students of the class. The participation is mandatory, and as the procedure of learning by doing is a part of their assessment. So it ensures 100% participation. At the same time, this engage starter activity helps, to raise enthusiasm in the learners. Engaging the component do of the experiential learning, the second E in 5 E's, that is explore, can be used for the exploration of the concept. Since I am a mathematics teacher by profession, my focus mainly would be on mathematical concepts, right? So since I plan to teach students about how to find out the heights of tall objects around them, that may be the topic which I have chosen for my class on that particular day. So in this explore component, teacher needs to be a little bit proactive and needs to talk out a well orchestrated meticulous plan for a successful completion of the topic which she or he has chosen for that particular day's discussion. Right, that is very, very important here. So as a part of personification comes for experiential learning, okay, because they are experiencing something before they understand the concept, what they are going to learn. So as a part of personifying different tall objects, students enact as tall objects in the class, and we can ask them to find out their heights each other. So they may try different modalities, different strategies, how to find out the heights of each other, so on and so forth. Now, after the 2 successful, integration of experiential learning with the 2 E's, that is engage and explore, here comes the 3rd E, that is explain, that is explanation. Here the role of teacher comes. Since the topic of my teaching on that particular day, suppose if it is application of trigonometry, I need to explain to the students about about the instrument used to find out heights of tall buildings, the width of the river, height of mountains, etc. So initially, the teacher, expresses the idea of a clinometer, that is the instrument used for measuring the heights of tall objects and things like that. Its application, explanation about the use of a clinometer, how to make a clinometer, and explain the procedure on how to make it. All these things actually teacher is expected to explain to the students. So how teacher will do that? The teacher makes groups in the class, keeping in mind the metacognition of students. That is very, very important. The learners were given, protractor, and that's what I told you. Teacher needs to be a little bit proactive. She can plan meticulously, and she can bring in, a little bit, few protractor, a few hollow cylindrical tubes and all to make the concept more clearer for the students, right? So the learners were given protractor and hollow cylindrical tubes for making the instrument, because we have to clearly explain to them how we can make a clinometer. It's very, very simple. Definitely children will enjoy that. So then we have to be prepared. The teacher needs to be prepared with a little bit of materials required for making it. She can make one and she can show to the students. Okay.
So in math also the props will help, ma'am. It's a layman's question kind of.
Ma'am, without, I mean, without showing any activity or without doing activity by students on their own, it is not going to help students in any ways, ma'am. That is very, very
Right.
important as far as mathematics is concerned. See, all level learners, we should not focus on a particular level students, ma'am. We have to consider the class as a heterogeneous one, as I already mentioned. So if
Right.
we can teach all concepts, or however it is possible for us, see, we are all bound to the time, right? So it may not be possible to take each and every concept and do these type of developmental exercise. It's impossible. So at least certain concepts which we find it is difficult for the students, and if we can teach them using these type of integrated methods, I can assure you that it is going to make a lot of difference in the learners, learning process.
Great.
Again, see, ma'am, this props play a pivotal role, I should say, because once they get the tactile feeling, it is going to remain in their memory, because we teach with only with models and all in the class. And how far it is possible, we used to do that. Okay, going ahead. Again, linking experiential learning with the fourth E of the constructivism, that is elaborate. Students are asked to do research on the topic. See, we have given sufficient explanation. We have shown them how to make a clinometer, and even a clinometer, for a clinometer, they need a protractor basically. And this protractor, how to make paper protractor, they have already learned in their junior classes. So students are well aware about that. And the moment we tell them to make a paper protractor, they will come up with the product. It is very simple. They have already learned it in their junior classes. But for making a proper original clinometer, we need a protractor. We need a string. We need to attach it to the center with a small weight hanging towards down. And whenever we want to look towards the, top of the tall objects and all, that will slip down to a particular position so that we can measure the angle. So it goes like that. It is very, very interesting for the students. So this rubrics, we are asking them to do a research on the topic. Then rubrics also would be given beforehand for assessment purpose. Each group presents about their findings, and they share with the other group as well in the class. So they share their thoughts and findings group wise. So here comes the role of think, pair, share as well in this particular aspect. Now, here, experiential learnings, that the second and third component, as I have already mentioned, the reflect and modify play crucial role. Once their presentation is over, they realize the need to understand its practical use, and hence they modify their misconstrue about measuring the heights of tall buildings. So we cannot climb Mount Everest to get the height, right? So they will understand how tall objects height has been measured. That is the main understanding, learning objective here for the students. So evaluation is possible through their presentation, and their depth of knowledge also can be assessed by the teacher. So solving a problem theoretically ensures effective learning. Eventually, we can ask students to write a good message in the instrument they made, and they can even share that. And we can ask a few students to reflect on the message written by the other student. Now, this constructivism approach with the help of 5 E's, linking with this one, experiential learning, I have done beautifully in my class, in my physical classroom, how to determine the volume of cylindrical objects. Actually, we can easily engage and explore students in the class. Once they're there in the classroom, based on their metacognition ability, we can make them into groups. And even I have asked them to find out cylindrical objects from the classroom. They will find out many objects from the classroom, cylindrical objects. And the explanation part comes in such a way that we can take a rectangular sheet of paper with a length as L and breadth as B. Okay, and we are asking students to to fold it without overlapping. Why we are asking them to fold it without overlapping means because we know the area of a rectangular sheet of paper with length L and breadth B is L into B. So once they fold it, if overlapping is there, area will definitely change. So that should not happen. So we are just showing them the length and the breadth has now become a cylinder. Length of the cylinder has now become the circumference of the cylinder, and the breadth of the rectangular sheet of paper has now become the height. So circumference of the cylinder, they know it's a circle and circumference is nothing but 2 pi r, and the breadth has now become the height of the cylinder. So they are very easily understanding that 2 pi r h is the curved surface area of the cylindrical object. And if we want to elaborate,
easy way to remember, ma'am. Very nice way of.
Very good, ma'am. My point is here, we are not always focusing towards the students who can easily visualize and grasp the concept whatever we teach in the class. Our main focus should be always towards the average performer and below that. So if we teach like this, they are going to experience it, and they will immediately take a sheet of paper and they will
They'll
immediately
remember forever.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, that is the main, main objective behind doing all these activities in the classroom.
Right.
And even if I can elaborate it, asking them, if I want to get the total surface area of the cylinder, the paper cylinder which they made, they will cut out two circular sheets and they will attach it with that. So they already know 2 pi r is a curved surface area. So circular sheets area, they know it is pi r square. So along with 2 pi r h, they will be adding 2 pi r squares, the top and the bottom. So it is becoming like 2 pi r h plus 2 pi r square is the total surface area of the cylinder. Now, little bit ahead, to elaborate it, I can even ask them, go back home, do a research on that and find out the volume of the cylindrical objects back home. So they will come up with so many ideas back in the class. So volume, they will tell that actually volume, when we talk about volume, along with the surface where it is lying, that comes the area and the space occupied by the object also. So if we talk about the cylinder, the area is there as the base area, and the height is the space where the particular object occupies. So base area into height will be the volume for the cylinder. Base area is nothing but it's a circular in shape, so it is pi r square. Pi r square, and the height is going to be h. So pi r square h is the volume of the cylinder. Like that, they will learn it very wonderfully, very beautiful. It will remember, it will remain in their memory for a longer time. Okay, moving ahead. Now, the activity, this integration activity and all, the activity gives learners a lot of scope for processes and skills they need to go through in the learning process, right? So later, students will reflect on how did they enjoy the way concept being brought up. They reflect on improving their critical thinking skills, then teamwork, then collaboration, creativity, and hence in turn, they will learn a lot of life skills as well. So education takes place through different experiences, right? So children who are, very hesitant, as I told in the beginning itself, not willing to come out of their shell, should be exposed, more exposed to these type of activities where they will learn social skills and develop their cognitive and affective domain as well. One thing we have to be very clear, we are not compromising the content basically. See, in fact, after they do their research, after they do their findings, they will share that in the class, and we can even ask them to review their findings, under 3 headings like what, how, and why, a very crucial part of experiential learning. So what is nothing but the subject they have, the subject matter they have learned, and how is the tools and methodologies or the methods used in the teaching learning process, and why is nothing but to learn content in an experiential manner and hence to improve their life skills. So we are not compromising the content, and here the part of that interdisciplinary project is also slightly lingering. The thing is, we are talking about maths here, we are talking about science here, we are talking about language. Once they write the message and pass it, and they need to reflect on the message the other child has written, and at the same time, a part of art is also integrated here, because when they make the protractor, with the help of the paper, like an origami, and a little bit of art is also integrated here. So it is overall becoming an interdisciplinary project for the students. Right. This wonderful integrated method is quite appropriate in dealing with, secondary school mathematics curriculum. And teachers need to be, as I told, a little bit proactive, because we need to prepare certain things and keep a well-orchestrated plan for the successful execution of the topic of discussion on that particular period. Then before I wind up, I would like to add a few more points here. Learning concepts only will not make children good human beings. See, they need constant motivation, positive reinforcement, appreciation, support, as well as care. So teachers give great emphasis for the holistic development of the learner, of the students, and hence adopt, integrated approaches for the same. Now, before I wind up, I would like to, because now online teaching is a new norm, ma'am. So as we already
Great.
know, so yeah, I would, how can we do such type of an integrated method in the classroom? Is a question mark for us. It's very, very simple. So TPAC framework is nothing but technology, pedagogy, content, knowledge, basically. So in 2 lines, I can simply tell you, TPAC framework is nothing but make use of the best digital tools with the best teaching practices, that is pedagogy, with the best teaching practices for learners to get to get to get accessibility is even to get the accessibility easily for the content actually they are expected to learn to enhance learning. I can repeat once again, TPAC, teaching, pedagogy, technological, pedagogical, content, knowledge. The thing is, make use of the best technology with the best teaching practices for this for making the content easily accessible for the learners to enhance the learning objective. That is in 1 or 2 sentences I can tell you. And here I have shown that linkage is there. That is, first one is pedagogical content knowledge, that is PCK, pedagogical content knowledge, PCK. This is nothing but the understanding of the best practices. Pedagogy is nothing but the teaching practices actually, right? For teaching a specific content to your students. And here comes the linkage as technological content knowledge, actually TCK. So knowing how the best digital tools available can enhance the learning process. And the third one is here TPK, that is technological pedagogy, TPK, technological pedagogical knowledge, understanding how to use technological tools as a vehicle to the learning outcomes to get the best learning outcome from the students. So that's all about from my side. I hope
That's
this
nice,
has
ma'am.
given little bit
That's a
insight to
very wonderful explanation. I wish
participants.
I'm in your class now at this age. I wish I had a math teacher who followed this methodology to teach us. Maybe I would have become a major in maths. Yeah.
Thank you
So,
so much, ma'am, for your
nevertheless, I
compliment.
really enjoyed the session, ma'am. And we have one visitor. I can't see the name. Is that Miss
Okay.
Nandita? Miss Nandita, can you hear me? I can see the name as VMG visitor. I can't see the name, but I'm guessing it is Miss Nandita. If it is she, can you hear me, ma'am? Okay, ma'am, that's okay, Miss Sajna. So
Yes,
it was
ma'am.
a wonderful session, ma'am, and I thoroughly enjoyed. And thanks for coming on India School News and sharing this beautiful concept with us. And I view your recording and learn something out of it, especially the math teachers who wants to implement this methodology. And
Thank you.
I really enjoyed the session, ma'am. Thanks for coming once
Ma'am,
again.
one minute, can I talk for a minute? For a minute.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, ma'am, see, we are taking this much of efforts to make this a scary subject for students. Whenever that word mathematics comes, actually, we can see different gestures on the face of students. I'm just longing for a day, ma'am, where all level students greet this subject with their outstretched hand, because we are taking this much of effort in all ways to make the things easy for them. I'm just waiting for such a day. Thank you
You
so much,
will,
ma'am.
ma'am. You will get a great result, and
Thank you so
definitely,
much.
like your
Thank you.
students, I can bet you that your students are very lucky to have you, and they will definitely like do very well in their lives with your
Thank you,
knowledge.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you so
So
much.
have a wonderful day, ma'am. It
Thank
was
you,
a
ma'am.
wonderful session.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.